Hello, welcome to another edition of the Pace Report. I'm Brian Pace. As you know, here on the Pace Report, I always like to keep my eyes and ears on the grind of the next set of musicians that are moving jazz music forward. And tonight here on the Pace Report, I'm honored to introduce you to a vibraphonist who hails from France, but has really been taking a lot of New York by storm. Simon Moullier tonight is performing music from his brand new record, Isla, which he's performing at the famed Jazz Gallery here in New York City. Now, he hails from France, but he started playing drums, but it wasn't until he started attending the Berklee School of Music in Boston, where he studied under the great Terri Lyn Carrington, where he decided that he was going to go full throttle and start playing the vibes. In addition to him graduating from Berklee, he also studied at the famed Thelonious Monk Institute of Music, where he studied with the great Herbie Hancock, Wayne Shorter, and Jimmy Heath. Tonight I had a chance to sit down and break bread with him to talk about his origins growing up in France, listening to jazz, and how he decided to change his technique and style and go and play the vibes, as well as talk about his mentorship with the great Terri Lyn Carrington, and also some of the vibraphonists that he really enjoys listening to and admires. So sit back, relax, and enjoy highlights of Mr. Simon Moullier performing music off his new album Isla, performed at the Jazz Gallery here in New York City, featuring Lex Korten on piano, Claffey on bass, and Jongkuk Kim on drums. Simon, congratulations on many fronts. First of all, congratulations on your brand new record release, which is this evening. Tell my viewers about the concept of this record, and as your third record, are you happy with the progress of playing as well as composing?
No, I'm very happy with this third record. It was felt like very natural to record when we did it, and it was several years of tunes that I liked. So some of those tunes were written during the pandemic, some of those were written a little later. So, and then I just filtered out the ones that I liked best and chose those 8 ones and recorded those with some of my close friends. So it just felt really easy to do, and it feels like a good continuum of what's already been happening. So JK has been playing with me for forever. He's on all the other records, so he's also on this one. And then I added Lex and Alex, who did a really great job in carrying this music and added so much great inspiration for it. So yeah, I'm very grateful for it.
And also, you just let the cat out of the bag just a few minutes ago. Your arrangement on Terri Lyn Carrington's Grammy Award-winning record.
I did say that actually. Someone else said it. But
congratulations on that.
Thank you. I'm very thankful to Terri for who gave me a shot at this, and I've done some arrangements for mostly myself, but I didn't really do any arrangements for anybody else. So that was a really fun experience, and I really love Terri, and I love her vision, and I love what she's going for. So I'm so glad that they got the recognition that was deserved. Yeah.
You growing up in France.
Yeah.
How did you get exposed to the vibraphone?
I guess it's kind of a really good in-between of piano and drums. And drums were my first instruments, and I'm very attached to it. And I still play it, not professionally or anything, but I keep a strong connection to it. And vibes was the perfect in-between. And I'm a big fan of melodies and harmonies and piano repertoire and just piano in general. So I guess it was the easiest in between to find. And I wish a secret part of me kind of wished that I could have played like a alto saxophone or a tenor or a trumpet, a horn instrument, because I've tried to emulate that so much on my instrument. So sometimes I just wish that I could play one instead of trying to emulate it. But yeah, vibraphone, it is what it is, and so sometimes it's kind of a battle, but sometimes it's also cool to have this battle because there's a lot of challenges to it technically, and to make certain things sound a certain way, you have to like go beyond the limits sometimes of the instrument, which is always a fun adventure, I would say.
So I'm assuming your musical beginnings were with classical music.
Yeah, in terms of the instrument part of it, yeah, it was definitely with classical, but in terms of listening, my mother exposed me to a bunch of music when I was young, a lot of old R&B and old blues and a lot of jazz too, definitely for sure. Like Thelonious Monk, Jongkuk Kim, Cannonball, Miles Davis, Bud Powell, Chicory, Herbie Hancock. A lot of really great music at home. And then classically speaking, there was a lot of like French impressionists, but also like some other stuff. Stravinsky was not French, obviously, but yeah, a lot of these artists were kind of in the house sonic atmosphere. I would say it was always playing.
Who was the first vibraphonist that you heard that you were like, oh my goodness, this is miraculous. I have to start playing like this.
I would be lying if I said I had a moment like this, because I don't think I did. I was a drummer, and I really wanted to be like, or like to play the stuff that Coltrane was playing, or Cannonball, or Bird. I was really obsessed with that language and the way it came out of the horn. It was so much expression. So I shamefully didn't really listen to many vibes players when I was brought up, which kind of brought me to pursue that route of like not really trying to sound like a vibraphone. And it doesn't mean that later on I didn't go back and listen to vibraphonists. Actually, Terri was one of my teachers in Berklee, and when I told her that, she was like, "Yeah, but you need to go back and check it out," and which I did, and then I discovered a whole new, beautiful world of music, of compositions, especially like I really love Bobby Hutcherson, and pretty much all of his records are like just really a lot of genius, and and in terms of like bebop, I like listen to a lot of Milt Jackson because of the way he plays and the way he has his rhythmic approach, and Lionel Hampton I really like because he sounds like a drummer on the instrument, and many more actually. Like now, whenever there's someone that I don't know, whatever, I always go and either listen to the show or listen to the music online, whatever's available. I just like to keep that curiosity open, and because you definitely always draw inspiration from whatever you hear, experience it. But I would be lying for sure if I said that I started Vibes because I heard Vibraphone, because that's not true. I started Vibes because I wanted to play improvised solos like the horn players do it or the vocalists do it, and the only one I could approach was the vibraphone because I was playing percussion. I was a percussion student, so I didn't play a horn, I didn't play piano. I just played the marimba, vibraphone, all that stuff. So I tried to emulate on the first thing I could, which was vibes. And later on, I approached those recordings. So yeah.
What made you decide to attend Berklee?
My dad actually was. He was kind of the one saying, "Okay, so you have all these artists that you like. You should check out their biography and see what they have in common." And a lot of those artists were, like Josh Redman, Kurt Rosenwinkel, like the more contemporary artists that I was listening to, like when I was in maybe high school or things like that. And I was checking out even like Quincy Jones, like I remember like I was listening to a lot of his CDs, and he went to Berklee, so I was like, he saw that in the biography, and my dad was like, well, you should try to go and reach out to the school and see if they have summer programs and things like that. And I think the first thing I did was attend the summer program, and yeah, from then on it was just they gave me a scholarship, which I'm still thinking about very often. What would have happened if they hadn't given me, because it's really expensive, and it was totally impossible for us to have me go and attend and pay fully. So the scholarship was a huge door for me to come to the States.
Simon, what was the adjustment like from you coming from France to New York and then adapting to playing with all these incredible musicians from all over the world?
Well, it was kind of a slow adaptation. Adaptation, right? That's the word. It was a slow process because I first went to Boston for 4 years, and then I went to LA for the Monk Institute, which was basically two schools. Those two schools. So it was like 6 years of school. So I was by then well adapted in the U.S. and I feel like I had more friends because of school. I met so many people. JK was definitely one of them, and many other. Like Luca Alemano, also bass player, played on my first two records. We bonded in the Monk Institute, and we did a lot of travels and stuff like that. So once you have more friends, I feel like adapting to a country is easier because you feel like you have some closer part of your family here. Because my whole family was still in Europe. And then by the time I came to New York, I kind of had to rebuild a whole network in the city because I didn't know anybody here, and I didn't do any schooling or any schools here. So I had, you know, to do step by step and go out and meet people, you know, little by little, and go to the shows. And it was a really great moment because I didn't know anybody, and I was just getting to know a bunch of people, and a lot of them. And then you get close to a lot of people that you admire too. So a lot, you know, like even some of the peers that I have and that you probably interviewed, like Joel and Sasha, on my instrument, but also on other instruments, you know, Manuel, and I was getting to see these guys, and they've already been a big source of inspiration. So seeing them, you know, a little up close and being able to go and see their shows, yeah, it was beautiful. Morgan Guerin too. I remember I came to a lot of the shows at the gallery, and that was, you know, always something I got a lot of inspiration out of.
You being at Berklee, I've interviewed a lot of the faculty that teach at that school, and Terri Lyn Carrington is just the stuff that she's laying down now. What was it like working and learning from her?
It was amazing because I felt like I was always in a situation. She was kind of putting us in, making us feel like we're in a real situation of, you know, of a working situation. And I don't know if she still does that, but I really liked that approach of teaching because it made you a bit on your toes, you know, and that's like a really good thing when you're teaching, I feel, because if you're too comfortable all the time, you get lazy, but, you know, and when you do, but when you do this other thing, the student is more focused and it's more aware. I don't know, it creates a yeah, and it creates a bigger imprint on the way you approach music, I think, and a lot of it is still like ingrained within me, and I'm really thankful that she brought that. Hal Crook was also, Hal Crook was one of the most important also teachers for me there, along with Terri, and he had that same touch on teaching, which is I think a little bit of maybe it's more old school way of teaching. I don't know what it is but I definitely like it for sure. Because some of the teachers in Berklee were not like that at all. They were like, basically, you could not work throughout the whole year. You would get an A, and all that stuff. But I feel like these two teachers were really like, and Darren Barrett too. Also, he was actually my main mentor throughout the whole 4 years. He was like my private teacher. So I stopped. I was taking private lessons with a trumpet player, which was like a dream come true for me. He was like. And he showed me so much music too, to learn from and transcribe.
Talk about the percussive approach to playing the vibes. How are you interpreting sitting down versus standing up, and also the concept of your composing with your band members? How does that all interplay when you're playing the vibes?
Like sitting down with the drums, you mean?
Yes, because it's a different. Because when you're thinking of drums, you're like doom. But the vibes, you're standing up and you're playing with formalities.
Well, there's one thing I like about the vibes is that the fact that you're standing up, it adds a little bit of a dance element. I'm not saying that I'm like fully on dancing, which sometimes I kind of want to. I'm saying, but like I think your body, your reaction, and your connection to your body language with music is very important, because it used to be dance music, and I think I'm still very much into that aspect whenever I compose. Especially, I try to focus a lot on like grooves and like what each song's vibe is, and just install a vibe. A vibe usually means a groove in some cases, So I feel like being able to just standing up adds a bit more presence and energy, at least for me, on my end. And I get to be more involved. Like I try to remember like having a stool a bunch of times, and it just makes me more lazy, or if there's a wall behind me, I just start like leaning a bit. And it's not always good. It kind of takes me out of it's like boxing. You're in there and you're just like, you're going the low end, you're going the high end. It's like there's a vibe of that, I feel. And when you're playing drums, being seated is like super. It's crucial, because you have the feet going obviously, and you have like that aspect of the ground. It's like a throne, It's not called a throne for any reason. I think there's really that thing of like being anchored in the ground and stuff. So yeah, vibes is more like flying sometimes, Like sometimes I'll watch some photos or videos and I see my legs. I'm like, how am I even standing straight right now? Because one leg is like crossing the other one, and your arms is like this or whatever. So it feels like more a flying aspect, which I really like too, because it's what alto players do, or what tenor players do. They just sometimes just fly over melodies, or it's kind of that element of air, I would say. Like drums is like the earth, and they also have other elements just like available, but vibes has a lot of air in it, and I really like that element.
Did you have an epiphany when you started to really flourish playing the vibes as opposed to playing the drums? Did you just musically, did something connect?
Oh yeah, it was super fun. I still remember the room. It was like a super small room in the conservatory, and I had so much work to do for the classical percussion side of my studies. I had to learn all these things, but then vibes was always there, and every time I started improvising, and I didn't know anything about improvising, like nothing at all, but it was just the connection to the sound and the connection to like playing whatever you want, and or being able to take a scale, for example, and just fly within that scale and just stay in there and just create melodies and create things. It was just, I remember the feeling was so much fun, and it was really freeing, and I think I still have that, because I feel. Maybe it's a little different feeling, but it's very connected. It's very much connected to the same source of that feeling. So, I still have a lot of fun, playing, and I try to keep that alive.
Thelonious Monk Institute, you had an opportunity to be mentored by some very important musical icons. We're talking about Herbie Hancock, and we're talking about Wayne Shorter, Jimmy Heath. What was the transition from Berklee to there? What were some important elements as a musician that you got there that you apply on the band stage today?
Man, the way I got there was really like kind of random, but it was more of an exercise. Like the audition tape that you're doing right now, actually, one dig was applying right now. So, but yeah, this audition tape is like you have to do 8 recordings, and it's really challenging because those tunes are hard. Like a lot of those tunes, at the end of Berklee, I was not ready at all to play them, and still now I'm sure I would have to get back into it, and it's like. It's very challenging, and just putting up those recordings together and putting the tape together and sending it, there's something really satisfying about it because you have to put a lot of work, probably a month of work, and then you send it, sometimes more. You have to do a transcription too, very hard, super long, all in memory, So it was more of an exercise, and then Darren, my mentor, told me to do that. So we sent it, I got the call back, and then I was really happy to get to go there just to see Herbie for the first time, and Wayne. I had never seen them like in real person. It was always like album covers or magazine covers or whatever. And just seeing them for real was like the most amazing thing at the audition. And then they ended up choosing me, which I still sometimes don't understand how this happened. But anyways, that experience in its own was like some of the most special moments I've had in my life. Just being around these people and observing them, and still now today I'm like processing some of that stuff. There's a lot of things that I still need to process. I'm a slow learner, so I know that about me. But some of the things that they say, it'll take you years to understand and to like really put it into application too. Because sometimes you can hear someone and be like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna do that, and then but until your system really absorbs that information, it can take years. You know what I mean? So, but some of the things that I really remember is that they were kind of teaching us to like think outside the box a little bit, because when we're musicians, we're very much like, oh, sharp 11, this chord. You guys want to join us? Like sharp 11, like minor 7, like we're very like we're very like absorbed with that stuff because it's very complicated and it's hard to put together, but it's actually not that important when it comes to when it comes down to it. When you have like a pandemic that comes in, and then you're still thinking about, it's not, there's like a perspective that needs to be done at some point as a musician, I think, and to just kind of let that thing be a part of the tools that you use, but not being the main center and focus of things. And that's what Herbie does whenever you try to ask him about chords and stuff. He'll be down to speak about it, but he probably won't be too down to get into it because he wants to keep the bigger picture alive. And Wayne is the same. That's why he makes us watch a lot of movies and just do different things in music so that we can get a different perspective on it and keep the bigger picture in mind, I think. And so that was the strongest teaching that I got from there. And that also gives you when you do a show, like putting a set list together, putting a band together, putting a record together. I think, it's like putting a record together also, that's like it's basically architecture of sound and how to put it together, how many tracks, what's the length, what's different styles and stuff. How are you going to take it as an experience, How are you going to take it, Because I know everybody has different tastes, and that's the beauty of all that. But the first question I'm asking myself is like, if I'm the one sitting in the chair, how am I receiving this sound? How am I receiving this experience? So yeah, that's really hard to do as a musician because we have to think outside of the box and like basically have a clone of us watching us, and be like, yeah, this is sounding good, or this is sounding bad, or whatever. So that was to answer your question.
That'll do it again for another edition of the Pace Report. I'm Brian Pace. I'd like to personally thank the talented Simon Moullier for his time. Make sure you support his current CD, Isla, which is now available on iTunes and Amazon.com. For more information on Simon's upcoming tour dates, please visit him online at simonmoullier.com, and also follow him on social media by way of Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, I'd like to personally thank the staff and management at the Jazz Gallery for their warm hospitality. As always, people, I can't stress this enough. Please like, share, and subscribe to my videos here on YouTube and Vimeo, as well as follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Until next time, remember, if it's in the groove, it'll make you move. Till next time, peace.